Nimekuwa nikifanya hii kazi kwa miaka 28 sasa. Inabidi ujaribu kubalance vitu vingi. Hii kazi lazima mtu aamke mapema kila siku. Hii kazi inahitaji niwe mpishi. Inahitaji niwe driver. Inahitaji niwe nurse. Inahitaji niwe accountant na bado niwe advisor. Hii kazi ina mambo mengi, lakini sitambuliki.
Lakini hii ni kazi gani?
Mimi ni mama.
For every goal, tackle, and highlight, for every man of the match performance, we at Beteka would like to recognize all the mothers who made it possible. Because we know that there is no man of the match without mom.
Hi everyone and welcome. This is Radull live and I'm excited because we're back live in studio. These are mambos are Zoom. They've really disorganized our lives, but at least we're able to be in the same room, keeping social distancing. Now, today I have a very special guest, and I say special because when I posted my flyer 2 days ago, the compliments that came, wow. Francis Kimanzi, karibu.
Asante sana.
You have fans, Kimanzi.
Nafikia ni Mungu.
Ni Mungu. You have fans, high, low. Comments from Kenya's best coach ever to, how does it feel when you get such compliments?
Now, first, I must thank all those people that have been supporting me and are still supporting me and always believe in me when it comes to football. So because it is not easy to win one fan and to convince him that at least you can be somebody that you can always, be followed and, and be supported and be trusted.
But I guess you've earned this. For me, you've earned this.
Of course, it's difficult. It's always difficult to be trusted by people, especially when you have to manage groups. And groups where sometimes you feel that you're in between making or breaking somebody's dream. It is challenging. Let
me send a few shout-outs. David Muchoki says, we are live. Krista Mutsotso says, Bondo is locked. He's not even in Bondo. He's in Qatar. Xavier Gitao Masharia, Tuko live. In my village, we shall refer to Francis as Franji and still believe as if nothing has happened. Okay, he's from Thika. James Mutethia Kibuchi, area Kamba bacteria. Okay. Is it supposed to be something fancy? But Kimanzi, for all three of those people who have no idea who you are, because it must be like 3 Kenyans who have no idea who you are. Give us a very quick, we have so much to talk about in these 60 minutes, but give us a very quick background of when you got into football up until you became a coach.
Well, it's a long story, but for one I have to I don't know, I can put it in very, very few words, but
it doesn't have to be that few words. But if necessary, we'll go on. This is Facebook Live. We can go on until tomorrow.
But Kimanzi is a footballer, is a former football player for Mathare United. So I did play for Mathare United since youth levels up to the senior levels, and then I was lucky because I also started coaching when I was young. So I started my coaching career when I was around 22, 23. So that time I was a coach for the youth teams within the Mathare youth setup. But for the senior levels, by 2000 I had already started being in teams, like an assistant coach. I think also the whole story comes from the leadership that I had, because in most of the time in the youth team I found myself as a captain in all those teams. And when you're a captain, you're also coaching, because I did a lot of coaching when I was also playing in the pitch.
But we have had so many people saying, Salimia, my captain, Salimia, my captain.
Yeah. Because since the youth level, I was always a captain. I've always found myself as a captain in the teams. And then when you are a captain, and that is why sometimes I take a lot of time also in my senior levels where I'm coaching now to identify a captain, because he has to be somebody with an eye who can also be a coach tomorrow. So I've captained a lot of players, and I think that has also influenced part of the leadership. Because when you are a captain, you are a coach on the pitch.
You're a born leader, a captain. Yeah, you're the coach while the game is going on.
You're the coach. So and a lot of information from the coach will go through you. So and most of it is tactics. And if you can always guide your team to implement it well, sometimes it is something special. But then I moved on from that to being an assistant coach in Mathare United, and I learned a lot there from some great coaches that I worked with. But more important, that time I was a player, an assistant coach, but I also followed a lot of courses that time. So I think the combination of both brought something to me.
In fact, I first met you, I think it was around 2007, 2008, when I discovered Nyayo Stadium is actually a place I can go and watch football, despite the scary stories I've been hearing. And I think for me, I don't know whether for you, 2008 was that one of the highlights of your career? Coach of Mathare United, coach of Harambee Stars, the achievements you did that, you managed that year? I've always tried to. 2008 was a good year, but not the highlight, because I think there's more to come. Because highlight bado.
Because that time I was also young, but then I was burdened. But the good thing is that I was also fresh from school that time, and I had a lot of football information. So I thought, wow, should I really see if I can do a crash of a club on the national level? And it worked well for me. But believe me, it was really, really hectic for me. It was tough. But the good thing is that both sides, it was like a lab, because I was testing everything with my club and implementing in the national team, everything was working. So the confidence that I had transferring information from the club level to the senior level, I think it was a lot of confidence that I had and belief, and players trusted it, because at least we had a lot of interaction with individual players to find out if they understand what I really meant. Because sometimes I had to play a huge role like a salesman. To try sell an idea from a club level to a national level. And again, it is not only the 11 or the 25 players I had in the camp, it is the whole country that also must buy the idea and they must enjoy it. So I think there's more. If I compare what I knew in 2008 and what I know now, I think the highlight iko kwa njia bado.
Now you think you didn't know anything?
I didn't know anything.
But that's 2008. I remember it. Mathare United won the league with games to spare, and then Kenya, Harambee Stars, under your leadership as coach, reached 68, which is the highest ever FIFA ranking we've got.
Yeah, we did a good job, and I also had a very, very good backroom staff with Yusuf Chipo, with James Nandwa. We worked very, very well and tirelessly to make sure at least. In fact, sometimes I even invited them to come to Mathare United when we were testing some things there. And together we went to the national team. And also I think because of the time and the back-to-back, at that time it was, all the matches were done in a back-to-back format. So I also thought that also played a huge role, because we had players for 10 days, so 5 days and in between the second game without breaking, because that was the first time CAF and FIFA were implementing that. And I think we benefited that. And it's also, sometimes you have to look at that time. We also, to be honest, that time there was also very good quality of players in terms of the team balance, lines and positions. So there were some positions that they were completely well balanced and reduce the challenge in team building. So for our part was just to let's get working, fix A and B and C, and see what happens. So sometimes it also depends with the generation.
One thing that worked back then, which I've noticed has been an issue over the years, is the fact that around 2008, FKF was known as FKL then, FKL handed over the management of Harambee Stars to the KPL. So exactly. The KPL Secretariat were in charge of both the league and the national team. And over the years, what we've seen sometimes is a tug of war between the people running the league and the people running the federation in terms of releasing players for national team duty. So that time it was aligned because it was one management.
You see,
And sorry, and then over the years, what we're seeing now, we've actually come back to that one management where FKF is now in charge of both. Does that then make it easier?
there's a huge difference between the way it was done in 2008. Because first we are talking about building trust to the players. If you make players trust, and you get the management also feel that they are cared for and they can trust the environment in terms of payment of allowances, in terms of preparation before the matches. And we are talking about only two things, Caro. It's about trust and it's about, respect and respect, without interference. So that time I remember in 2008, I was completely there was no interference. There was a lot of respect to the players that were given an opportunity to compete, and at the same time, players felt that they were also respected and cared for. And when players feel that they are respected and cared for, and they can trust the environment, I think they give 100%.
Is that the situation now?
No, it is a different situation. At the moment, there is when you have we are talking about interference from any level. From any level. That doesn't mean that you can be asked to bring any player in the team. No, we are talking about also the ability or the independence of the coach to work with staff that he trusts. So start from the staff. So if you don't give the coach an opportunity to work with whoever he wants, even if it comes to the part that you need to travel with the cook, then I need to make a choice that the cook that I want will be this man or this lady to help me. But it is not people pushing people, and hiding behind the scene. Sometimes you want to hide behind the scene and you want to pretend that is the wish of the coach and the wish of the club. It is not the best way to handle football. So sometimes I think there's a lot of interference indirectly, which a coach will not tomorrow say in front of a camera before a match that this was not my choice, which is crazy because you have to walk out if it happens immediately.
Your last stint with Harambee Stars, was that the case?
I felt the case was simple. First, I felt that the support that we were promised is not genuinely, seen and felt by me and the players. And if I feel that, because I was there before, and I know when it means that I can smell and I can feel a genuine support, and I can feel when people are just pretending around it. So I felt that it is not my way, and it is not a good feeling that when you feel that it is not 100% honored as agreed before. So I thought it is even better that to be aside, because you don't want to create a lot of trouble for nothing. It is okay.
We didn't, personally, I didn't understand why you, that mutual consent. I like that term. We have parted ways by mutual consent. You had come back from a good result against, I think it was Zambia.
And, yeah, we were preparing.
And I have nothing against my good friend Jacob Ghost-Mule, who I know is also one of your biggest fans. But I didn't see why you left the national team or were removed. I don't know. Why mutual consent?
No, for one, and I want to, because we had an agreement that it should not be something that there's a level in life, and as a professional you reach that you don't want a lot of contradictory stories every now and then, because things will be picked and turned the other way around. Sometimes it is easy to leave the good people who also support you speculating. But one day to reach a time that now you have to start maybe in a very diplomatic way trying to express yourself or discuss about it. But one of the things that I said earlier that I thought, in fact, even when I was sort of pushed out, I felt so happy and so relieved because, Caro, football, we're talking about the mental and the psychological aspect of the game. And if that part is not fixed, genuinely, it is better for me to be out and work in a club level than to work in a place where you feel that can never be fixed. I can be the best, technically and tactically. I can prepare the team. But then, to train my players, to make sure that at least the mindset is ready. It needs more.
Coaching is wholesome.
It needs more than my training. So I can do you know the way, because if I have to train my players, the mindset of the players, the way we train them, it's through videos, it's through analysis. So at least you keep them repeating, they see it on the pitch, they see it, in a video. That time I'm preparing the players to make sure the mindset is ready. They have to know that they will have to persevere, they will have to give extra. But again, there's that huge part that we're talking about, the trust between the players and the game, and the link of the link between the secretariat, what they have to do as a role, and that role is simple. It's the role the role when it comes to the motivation of the players. Genuinely, you have to do it, and you have to be honest, and you have to keep your word. Don't just, if we are always sort of going around it, it's dangerous. It's dangerous for the coach, because the psychological aspect of a player before the game matters a lot, and you have to make sure that at least they feel that they are ready and they are prepared for that. And that was the huge difference in 2008, where players received their allowances and salaries, days before the match, and it was done, through their accounts. So every time the camp was so quiet, and nobody talked about money. Nobody.
Actually, that year we didn't hear anything about money.
Nobody talked about money, and nobody was asked not to talk about money, because there was no issue. The money was always there for them. And every game had a plan. Because the other part of the national team is sometimes, if we don't work to fight for the players, they might be playing for free. They cannot be playing for what we call that a win. You play for a win, but then you cannot be playing for a win and then you wait to get some well-wishers to come later. It has to be a plan. That in 2008 we had a plan. If we play Guinea and we win, this amount goes direct to the players. So you're also playing for something, because it is not a club, it's a select team. And a select team, you have to come together, persevere for 5-10 days, but you have to come with a reward. So the reward was always known. But we cannot sell an idea to the players to play, and then we discuss about a reward before or later.
Don't thank me, motivate me.
The process is what is important.
Yes.
So you cannot wait and say that if we win this game, there's a certain sponsor will bring 2 million, another one will bring 3 million. But there's always, we are not, we are going to compete, and in a competition there's a reward. The other team also wants to be rewarded. So, and the other team might be motivated more than us, and they have already been motivated throughout the process. But me, I'm cornered that if I win, then I will get a reward there. And what about if I don't win? And sometimes I can win, and still I don't get anything. So they say those are the some of the small work items I think we have to fix in the national team to get a better face and to have a good team.
So you were pushed out of that job?
Yeah.
Hakuna mutual consent?
No. The mutual consent was there because I also agreed.
Oh.
I agreed that I want to be out. If you want to, because the word was that the national team want to restructure. So if you want to restructure the technical bench and maybe the playing unit, no problem. But I prefer to be out when the restructuring starts. So I decided to be out, and it was good because I also with my assistant coach and my goalkeeper coach, the fitness coach also, and it was good. We decided it is better. You can go on with the restructuring. We have no hard feelings. We can go back and try to continue the project from a club level anyway.
But within and we'll get to talk about club and Wazito and everything else in the second half of the show. But in the Harambee Stars team that is there now, given our World Cup qualifiers, do you think there is a chance that we can actually find ourselves in Qatar?
Anytime, because at the moment, if you look at the group we have, it's a very tough group. It's a tough group because when the draw came out, we were still in the office, yeah? So we had done a lot of, believe me, we had done a job through in terms of analysis and preparation up to the game against Rwanda, because we knew that because that time we had only 2 matches. It was Egypt and Togo and Comoros. Then we knew this. So you have to prepare for the national team because you have also a lot of time to prepare. So we had done a huge job in terms of video and preparation of trainings and everything. But I'm talking about the office that was there when I was heading them. It was a very tough draw for us because if you have to play Uganda, you have to play Rwanda.
Mali.
I think Mali match can be the easiest match. But the neighbors, because why am I saying this? Because when we were in Egypt for AFCON, we were very relaxed when we played Senegal. They are powerhouse, but we gave our best. we lost the game. You see, Algeria, we tried to give our best, but we know the ranking and the quality of the players, and they are among the best team in Africa.
And their motivation.
And the motivation, you can't even talk about it. Yeah, they are done. Yeah, but when we played Tanzania, there was a huge panic and a lot of tension. Even for the technical team, we felt it, because now it went beyond football. These are our neighbors, and we don't care. We have lost 2 matches, but please, if you win against Tanzania, you give us a present. For us, we have won the AFCON. Give us a win against Tanzania. And I think also from home, the impact was so, and the pressure was so much. That is the same thing. When I looked at the draw, I told my bench, it is going to be tough against Uganda. It is going to be tough, very tough against Rwanda, because no Kenyan will forgive us if we lose against this team.
Yeah.
People they will forget about it when we lose against Mali. But if we lose against Uganda at home, we lose against Rwanda, whether at home or away, because Kenyans will travel to come and watch that game. So we're talking about a same village fight, and that will be really, really tough. So Mali for me will be the easiest fixture here, but the 2 fixtures will be very tough. If we don't prepare and motivate our team very well, we might be surprised.
Ghost Mule, a man I highly, highly respect, he told me that you were, in fact, in Ghost's words, Kimanzi is the most highly qualified coach in this country. And this is about this time last year. What's your relationship with Ghost?
You see, for one, and I have to say, he's a coach I respect a lot, because we have also had a lot of discussion with him, and a lot of exchange of experience on the pitch. When he was Tusker, I was in Mathare, and we played. And I think most of the time when he was in Tusker and I was in Mathare, we always gave fans a very good game. So
friendly fire.
It was a really good game, because I remember those games, and that was, I think, especially the games when Super Sport was here, because I think Tusker and Mathare United, that is Ghost and Kimanzi, we were the ones to launch that, because we had a very tough match with them, and it was a 7 o'clock match that was like the best match I think we have ever seen in a live match in Kenya since we started, the live matches. So, but then our friendship is always growing, but people don't understand sometimes, because I think people think that we like to fight, but it is not true. Just the other months when I was in the national team, I had a lot of time, so I helped him a lot in Liberty. I was like his assistant coach.
He actually told me
working for him.
Comes to Liberty. Yes. So
I told him, I have a lot of information, and I want to pass to the young players and prepare them. And again, I also used Liberty as a lab before I got to the national team that time, because when you're a national coach, then you cannot go to a club level, but for the youth level, you can try a lot of things. You can experiment. And I was also very, very privileged to be there with him, and did a lot of job to do some selection and guide his team and prepare also. The coach there was Karanja, the former Tusker player. So we worked together. So that relationship grows, and you have to respect somebody whom sometimes you want to work together. And when it comes to a national job, I have no issues with it, because it is not my job. It is a Kenyan job. Anybody can be there and do it. So people sometimes try to raise a lot of issues that it is not part of my issue. We can disagree on principles, but it is all about football, nothing more.
Ghost is equally qualified and has a good record as well with the national team.
Of course, of course. So when I think it will be unfair for me tomorrow if I get so upset because so and so is already in the national team in that position. It is not Kimanzi's position. It is a Kenyan position that can be done by anyone. So if I disagree with the management, or they disagree with me, and there's a vacancy within the national team, then why should I expect that vacancy to be there forever? Somebody has to step in and work. And I have to move on and work. So it is that simple.
One thing Ghost told me about you, which is not, it's public knowledge. He said if there's a coach in this country who continues to add his badges, he said Kimanzi is never satisfied that I have reached the highest level of coaching. You continue. What's the importance of that? Because I see coaches get D license, C license, and then they're suddenly happy. But you are never satisfied. You still have to keep updating your qualifications.
if you want to compete in future amongst the best, so because I still believe there's a future ahead of me today, honestly, I spend a lot of time in the libraries. Sometimes even in a private library at home, in MISA library, in the public libraries, because I like to do a lot of research. And there's a lot of new information every day. If you look at the evolution of the game now, and the game is moving, on the science angle, that everything now is becoming so scientific. And if you cannot prepare your players also scientifically, if we still remain on the analog side, sometimes we don't develop players. And if you don't keep on making research and trying to search for some new knowledge and new challenges, and sometimes not only new, but trying to check. Sometimes it's nice to be outside the box and check if what you have been doing is also the right thing, or you are closer to a right thing compared to other top coaches in the world. So I try to read a lot of books also to see what I'm doing, and am I in the right channel, or am I just somebody who is using other models that they are not really anywhere to help a player today. So I try, and if there's only every time there's an opportunity for me to advance in terms of education-wise, my football development, I think I have to keep on learning more, because I still think and I want to compete amongst the best, around Africa. I'm very motivated with some African coaches that I see that every time they're developing. So, and I like to see that, and sometimes I feel that I have an opportunity to compete with them. But that cannot come when I'm seated. It must be different.
You must push yourself.
I must be different, and I must do that from any level that I work.
And there's a time you had a program with the Kenya Institute of Education, and you had a coaching program. What happened to that program? And in the same breath, if somebody wants to be a coach, where's the best place they can go now?
I did this because every time when I went to Holland, I met the same guys that I was, that we started doing a C license with. And mistakenly, they thought that I was from Suriname. Because every time in Holland, when you are black, they think you are from Suriname, because Suriname is just their neighbor. Yeah? So they realized that one time, because I was from Suriname, but I cannot speak Dutch. So they realized that I'm from African Kenya. So they were asked, every time I was being asked the question, what do you do with the knowledge when you go back? Because there are people in Holland who doesn't know that Kenya plays football. So, but they understand, you are always here, every year we see you here. What happens with all this knowledge? I told them that I'm also trying to help some other coaches from the community. And that's why we came up with that idea, because now every time I went, I came back with a lot of new information. So I decided, Carol, this is a lot of new information, and I know there are a lot of coaches here who are learning, we are doing coaching, and they are not qualified. They are only maybe, I can call them like, they're just mobilizing players from the youth level, and they do a good job. And one way or the other, they produce a quality, yeah? But how about if you give them some guidelines and some principles in training from the grassroots? So I started doing that. And we, from those courses, then the Netherlands Academy, because I was being supported by the Netherlands under the CSR program. I got a lot of sponsorship there. Though the scholarship that I was gaining, they were also concerned of what am I doing? Am I giving something back to the community back home? So we started that. I said the only thing I believe is lacking and we can start doing for the communities in Kenya, coaching. Can we empower the young coaches from the grassroots? And the Dutch and the Netherlands, they are very good in that, developing youth coaches, because they believe that every player has an opportunity. He only needs a good care, and a good care, that means a good teacher. The good teacher must be a good coach.
As good as the training you get. Yeah.
So we said, let's prepare good coaches to teach these kids and see what happens. And we started. And then I was given that mandate as an ambassador to do that. And I did that with a lot of passion, because every time when I met a group of coaches of between 20 to 25, within 3-4 years, I saw at least 5 to 8 coaches already very active and motivated and doing something the right way. So we did that a lot. We did that a lot. And even now, as we are talking, I still do it, but in a very small scale. Because again, the federation also, they said it is their right to train the coaches. So when you start doing some training, which are like parallel to the federation, you get a lot of fight. You fight with the federation, they say you are not supposed to do that. And sometimes you have a feeling they think you are doing it for money. Because if I have to hire a facility like that, we used to hire a facility, they go an institute. It is not my facility. It has to be paid. And we have to get a pitch and they have to get some bitings. But they have to, the only thing, they don't pay a professional fee for the knowledge, but they have to pay a fee for themselves to support their...
They should pay professional fee for the knowledge.
And again, it is, if you need knowledge, knowledge is never for free. You have to, you need some commitment. But if you do that, sometimes it will be seen as if it's an opportunity for you to enrich yourself, of which it was not. I think at that time I was still a club coach, and I don't think I needed that money. What I needed is to give this knowledge out and fill in a timesheet that I can send in Holland to tell these guys that this is how much I'm doing and trying to help. And I get support because every time when I apply for scholarship, then they consider that I'm also trying to preach some good gospel down there when I'm back. So that is, so I stopped it because I found that the environment was not really conducive, because it becomes tough, because there's a lot of negative energy for you to stop that. So I decided that because this knowledge, I have it. I was only passing it. I only want to pass this knowledge to 1-2 other coaches. But if you don't want me to do that, because I cannot bring all those coaches and work with them in a club level or in the national team. But sometimes I want to have them in a room and help them. But if you feel that I'm doing it for money and you want to politicize that, it is better I pull off. Because I have the knowledge, I know it. It is another coach, another Kenyan coach there who doesn't know it, that needs that knowledge. But now we deny him that opportunity, so I decided to back off.
But isn't that what's hurting our game? I see that's what's hurting our game, because you all have the same goal, to see the growth of football in this country, to see an improvement in the quality of the game, to see more professionalism. So why must I be jealous that you're doing the job? Because my understanding is that the federation, yes, they get involved in they have coaching programs, but it's almost like once a year. And if you miss that program, you wait for another 1 year, which is unfair, because I'm sure there's so many Kenyans who would like to get into these programs.
Carol, one thing, what I know is you can never, and it will take long, to get our league as competitive as possible. A league that is competitive is not only a league that, you don't talk about the competitiveness, because sometimes I have had, sometimes I look at the league log, and people think when there's 2, 1, 3, 4 difference, of points between the teams, maybe between the first and the, between number 1 on the log and number 10, for example, number 15. People think that, oh, it's a tight league, because there's, to me, a tight league is not about 2 or 1 point in between. It is about the quality of the game. Is the quality of the game good in every game? Because it is, sometimes I find it is not fair when sometimes like in the live matches, where people choosing matches, they say, no, we prefer this match than this match for a live match. That means one match has something a lot in terms of those two teams. Maybe they have better quality, they try to show something more, and the other match, maybe you see almost
There's no
nothing.
interest, it's poor.
Why? Because that is wrong, because those two other teams, they also have fans. And if we want to get our league more competitive, that if you watch some other leagues, I follow South African League a lot. If you look at those teams, even the teams at the bottom of the table, you see there's something in that team. They are out and they are ready to compete. And they can entertain. They can entertain.
Any game can entertain.
So that is the challenge we have. And that challenge always, it is brought around by a lot of things. First, we have to look at also the quality of the management of that team. Talking about the technical aspect of the game, whereby you need coaches with good quality. And that good quality means we need a lot of coaching course to develop coaches. Not only to train them, but to make sure we make them better. Because what we are, when you are talking about only coaching, doing a course once a year, sometimes you get trained. But have I made you better? No. So there have to be a clear, we have to distinguish in between do we want to train our coaches? Because I'm also part of that, the training team of the federation. So whenever they are coaches, sometimes when I'm available, I also give some input. But now, sometimes I'm always concerned as an individual, because I'm thinking and talking about training a coach, but then there's always a huge bridge between training and making that coach better. If you want to make that coach better, then it has to be a system that has to be repeated and repeated and repeated and followed, and then eventually tested. Then at least we know this coach, he can, but we cannot have a blanket training where that every coach now is qualified. That doesn't mean we have made those coaches better, be honest, because you have to test them and see, because if in education there will be always a dropout.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to push them until we find who is the best. And the best, we know that if we have the best, that means we are increasing the depth within the coaching family. But sometimes there's a gap there. There's a huge gap.
Because you are Dutch trained. So all
Exactly.
the trainers Dutch trained. Or you're coming with your Dutch training, someone else is coming with other training, a different instructor has...
Yeah. So
then Kenya ends up not having a system. Do we have a system?
A system is even when you are trained in a country where the education structure, the football education structure is very elaborate. Sometimes when it comes to the formations, an individual coach can design a formation for the club, what we call a club culture. You can do that.
Preference, yeah.
Yeah, you can do that. You can decide, because some clubs will tell you that this is the behavior that we have had for the last 15 to 20 years. So you have to continue with that behavior, which is the culture, and they have created a habit. But for us here, because before we have to look at some years back, where we had nowhere to go if you want to seek for some football knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Former player, you don't know where to go, but you want to be continue in football as an administrator, and you prefer to be a trainer coach. And we have lost a lot of could be very good coaches, because what happens if I'm an experienced and loyal player in a club, and tomorrow I retire maybe from playing, I don't want to play, sometimes early retirement because of an injury, and the club wants to keep you around the setup. They are always given an administrative position that they are not even comfortable with. For example, a team manager. And this has been a player who has been working on the pitch, and now you want to put him in a way that he has to be every time in front of a computer. He's not used for that. Maybe for the last 30 years he has never been in front of a computer to do a program for a company or a proposal. So sometimes we have lost a lot of could be good coaches because of lack of a structured center for training, where coaches can walk in, where players, retired players can walk in easily, mm-hmm. and register and start doing some coaching stuff there, management stuff, for example. But that takes time. For the way the federation works now, when you do some courses there, then you have to wait for long, because there are slots, and those slots, because of the interest within the country, it means that there will be one course or two courses in Nairobi, then in Mombasa, then in Kisumu. It is slots, they have to be distributed equally for all the coaches also around the countrywide. But now the follow-up is what we are talking about now. How will we ever come to reach to the situation that we can increase the depth? Because coaches will come with their formations, but it is difficult to impose at the moment with what we have, that every team or from the youth level we can train this formation. But the formation, to me, I don't see it as a huge problem, as long as the knowledge of the players from the grassroots is positive.
Let me get to some comments here. People are saying I'm ignoring them on social media. Ustad Okello Kimanzi, my friend Ras, I know you know him. He says, yeah. I love the fact that these two, Francis Kimanzi and Joseph and Jacob Gosmile, are respectful to each other. Samuel Gasharira, yes, sports journalist, big coach, enjoyed working with him at Mathare United for 5 years, knows his stuff and stands for what he believes in. You're known for that, standing for what you believe in. Who's this? Well, boss Arsenio. Ask coaches, okay, I don't know if this is true, but it's his question. Ask him where he stagnated. He was so good at a very young age. By now, he should be coaching Real Madrid. Okay. I don't think that's...
No, it's good. It's good, because what people don't understand sometimes is that most of them, when they started maybe following me, and most of them, I think it's between the year 2006, 2005, 2006, 2007, That time when I was building Mathare United, we had a very good process, but they also don't know that I was also very young. And that time I'd only done a B license, and I was in between C and B license. And when you have a B and C license from UEFA, you cannot progress that far, because first of all, there's a window that you are given before you take the next level. Mm-hmm. So after every course, every licensed course, you need 3 to 4 years practical. Mm-hmm. So after I did my C, I had like 3 to 4, then I got an opportunity to go and do the B. And it's all about the education level. Sometimes you don't want to skip. And now, because I was also sponsored, you have to be humble and work and see if you can attain the next sponsorship or scholarship ahead. Then from B to A, I needed another 5 to 6 years before. Now, for me to do a pro license, that may be from a friend of mine and a big supporter who thinks that I should now make a move. I want to tell him that very soon, when the time he will read that I'm out to do my pro license, then I will be a different coach, because that gives me a lot of opportunity now to open up in the world. But up to now, if I have to push, and I'm always trying to get a place better, mm-hmm. but with an A license UEFA, you can push, you can use a lot of agents that can help you. But what is important for me, I want to go somewhere and I want to be out when I'm ready. Mm-hmm. People don't understand I'm also learning. I'm trying to prepare, because sometimes if you have to move out from your country, for example, to work in another country, that means you have to be ready, because there'll be a lot of challenges, and you have to prove to those other coaches there that you have something new and something unique, mm-hmm. that they can also learn from you, and you can also learn something from them. So it's all about the process to prepare. It is not about rushing, and sometimes I don't like to rush a lot. That's why I don't even like to move from club to club a lot. I like always to build one club and set a philosophy, something clear that somebody can see. Then that means there's something I'm also learning. I'm never doing it because sometimes I can coach a club which has a lot of challenges in terms of finances. But what I do is that I don't want to leave my project hanging, because mm-hmm. tomorrow I have
it's your CV.
It's my CV, mm-hmm. and again, it is also a legacy that I want to leave somewhere. So I'm always concerned with that more than my movements. Movement will come, and that movement will be cemented by a good legacy that I've left behind.
That you've left. Maybe one day you can go and rescue Arsenal. Let me see here. Arsenio says, with all the unprofessionalism in management in the country, I think Kimanzi has done a fantastic job. Congratulations. Christopher Mutsotso, motivation and rewarding is the most important formula that will equalize to positive results. Ronald Okoth, the best there is and the best that there ever will be. What a manager Kim is. He has definitely set the bar and standard so high. His obsession with detail has always been one major key to his success. Leaves no stone unturned. That's clearly a fan. I'm actually wearing one of his academy jerseys, which I think he says, watch this space, eh? One day he'll bring you players. Titus Mulamba, it's always very easy to grow as a football player under Kim. Actually, Titus even left a comment for you on my Instagram. Can I find it? He's, I think, one of your biggest fans.
Yeah, Titus.
Where is it? I'll find it. But lots of comments here of people who are clearly impressed by what you've managed to achieve for Kenyan football, which I think is a lot. Alfred Njuguna, coach, much appreciation for the good work you have done for promoting youth football. Bartholomew Nyariki says, we live in Lower Karen. He means Kibera. Yeah. Ask Kimanzi to shed light what transpired for him to resign as Harambee Stars coach. I think you've gone through that. That the feeling was not mutual. The commitment to the team was not mutual. Yep. Many comments here from Nashipai and Desindio. Say hi to coaches Brian Mantizai Opio. I think a lot of these people, I think, played with you as well. Let's talk a bit about your club position right now. You are with Wazito FC, which is known as is it Chelsea? Mm-hmm. Your club owner, Ricardo, is known as Abramovich of Kenyan football. What's your experience at Wazito, having been there now for a couple of months? Although I know it's been up and down because of COVID, it's not really been a normal season.
I think first I must thank the club, for considering me to give me an opportunity to see if at least we can work together. And For one, when I left the national team, I needed to get some time to also to recollect myself, because it's always nice to compile everything. And as I said earlier, there's always a huge challenge nowadays, because the number of videos that I have to go through, sometimes spend a lot of sleepless nights analyzing materials. But when you have such a time that you are free from an active commitment, you can always do your own things. So when Wazito approached me, I told them that, because first I knew and I know the history of the club. As much as we wanted to make it a very, very positive entity, there's a lot of negativity within the club. So I said that was the main fear that I had before. I said, yeah, because every time what is in the social media about the club, it is not very, very positive every time, yeah? But the setup looks a setup that is there, but sometimes it's, if you are a trainer, sometimes you have to take a risk to see if you can change something, and maybe you can change that image. Because I remember when, before walking into Wazito, I consulted a lot of good friends, locally and also abroad, about the whole thing, because they're also following it on social media. But they told me that the only thing that can make it, the only thing that, the difference between this club and the other coaches who have been there and you is when you step in. So what do you mean? Because we know that you can help change, the negative aspect of this team into very positive. Because what will be positive tomorrow is when they start winning and they start performing and they start playing better. Because sometimes we can win and we are not satisfied. But my colleagues told me that we know that you can change, you can make them play better, and I think by playing better, we'll change also the negativity within the team. The issue about the money can be there today, tomorrow they can have a problem, because finances, when it comes to club, because you're talking about a group, because even as we are talking now financially, we are not the best. We are still struggling to get our players happy and motivated. But what is important is that if you see Wazito on the pitch, that you can appreciate their way of play. They can look another competitive team. They can compete with any team, and they can be another force within the system. So that is the first thing that we had to do. Leave all of the other things. And I was so encouraged, because for one, I said I will be safe in this team, because I'm nowhere in the social media. You can only find me through email. You call me directly or WhatsApp. I
tried to tag you on my flyers and you were
so I operate in a very analog way, because I said if I spend my time as a coach in the social media, I think I'll be sick, because 99% of what he said about a trainer is negative. Yeah. Because you are talking about a very popular sport, and we are talking about making or breaking somebody's dream.
We all think we are better than you at your job.
Yeah, and yeah. There's a lot of people who have a lot of football experts outside the game. So you can never compete with them, and especially in the social media. So I try to make sure that I concentrate and I save my energy to work for the club. So the distractions within the social media, sometimes my friends will tell me that we saw this, and I said, don't worry, because I think I have I'm so bad to go over those, because there's no time I'll be perfect. I try, but I can't, because when you have to work with players, you're always thinking, and so there's always that moment that is very difficult, when you have to recruit a player and tomorrow you have to release another player. That means you're building a dream and you're breaking a dream, and every dream, they have their own sympathizers. Yeah. And nobody will understand you. So, but that is the one big quality about how you counsel them within the process. No player will bring you a present because you have made him a great player, and no player will bring you a present because you have dropped him. So it is a balance in between. There are always issues, but for Wazito, I think the perception out, the negative perception that was out there, and then we are talking about when you are seen as a team that came in with a lot of push in terms of the budget and
the very vocal owner.
And the president also, who is my boss, wants to be in the game, which is also allowed, because that's why he invested in the game anyway. Yeah, but then you have to put a balance. The only thing is that there are also things that we talked, and what is in the contract of the coach also matters a lot in the club. So first of all, we have to see if we can adjust what is in the contract and what is our role. And when we have a role, how can we make the team better from there?
What are your targets at Wazito?
So we have a simple target, because depending on the contractual basis that we have, is that, for one, I want to make the team better, very competitive, and every day to make sure at least they can compete with the top teams. But then we also have a log that matters a lot. So we have a first season there. We want to be in between top 5 for the first year, but we have 4 years to push with them. Within 4 years, we must deliver something for this team. 4 years, I think could be long, could be short. It will depend with the way we are working. And of course, the support from the club. Up to now, the support is very genuine. They try to push everything, even when there are some challenges with finances and everything. But what is important is when clubs feel that there's honesty, there's respect and transparency within the club. Money issue will always be there, especially where we have a league like in Kenya, where sponsors are not coming in, they are running away. So before it was better. Before we know it was better, there were more sponsors in. But with the current situation, I think a lot of clubs have to struggle. But the struggle also has to be shared in a way that it has to be a very transparent way, honest, that can be reached to the players, and players can believe that this is the way forward. I think if clubs can always have that as a platform as we wait, and players and coaches agree that we have to, it is to market the game, it is only the players and the coaches. We have to create a brand that can be marketed. But again, it has to be based on mutual understanding within the clubs. Yep.
So this week, I know you have Gor Mahia. The league is coming back. How has the break been? Because it's not been a break you wanted. It's been a break based on circumstance. And then you come back, bang, to face Gor Mahia.
Well, sometimes you need more time. And before the break, I think we were really moving very well. The fitness level was good. Players were, at least we were getting more and more pressure in terms of achievement, and we felt that now we were almost 40 to 50% of what we were building. But now with the break, you see you drop a lot, because players can train a lot individually, but now the link between the players within a team context, that one disappears, yeah? So we have to fix that, and we'll see. Players have been training, some are on, some are off, so we wait and see from Wednesday. To be honest, teams need more time. Even the teams that were training, during this COVID period, there were teams that we know that they were training and preparing. Also, they don't gain a lot, because when you're also training and you're training alone and you're not competing, doesn't help also the team. In fact, it also builds some fatigue within the players. So it would have been fair if at least teams could have been given more time, just like what we call a mini pre-season, which can be done within 3 weeks. Because you see now with FIFA, they have pushed everything for the qualifier. That means there'll be no window. There'll be no window open. So
back to back.
So they would have pushed it and give maybe some teams maybe 3 weeks, which would have been the first week when the president made the announcement for preparation. The second week, as we wait also for the ministry to give us the go-ahead. And then the third week, so the mini pre-season could have worked. I don't know why they skipped that. But for the next 3 to 4 games will be games that I think might also bring a lot of injuries to the players.
Because that is a risk, but it's been a risk like all over the world, because
it's a risk.
Unfortunately, COVID is not something that we thought would happen. We don't even know how to handle it.
Of course.
Even when you come back to playing football, you don't know how long this is going to last. So that has really disrupted your game. Let me just read a few comments, and then I want to name a list of a few people, and I want you to give me your reaction to them or what you think of them. Let me see. Ngesti DS Dunga Mata here says, Kimanzi, the man who led the national team to its highest ever FIFA ranking, 68. That's great stuff. Marco Diambo, always grateful, the best. Made me feel I could play the topmost level, mad respect. I'm sure you know Marco Diambo.
He was my central defender.
He was your central defender?
Worked with him, great player.
Eugene Mbem Luceno, Kimanzi will remain best coach in the country as usual. Hatupendi ukweli on matters Harambee Stars. He is Right, he is right. Mali is the easiest game. Agrippa Nyanje, good knowledge. I like the passion, always impressed with your work. Uaye Kaj, the best local coach we've ever had. Mary Njoroge, much respect to Kim. Naitwa Lawrence says, say hi to my coaches. I like his tactics. You have fans. Now, I want to list these players and then you give me your reaction to what type of a player you think they were, in your opinion. Dennis Oliech, what comes to mind?
I thought it's a list. It's only one.
No. You say it and then I'll give you the rest of the list.
Okay. Dennis.
Uh-huh.
The name Dennis gives me of speed, agility, and precision. Speed, agility, precision.
Do you think
good
Dennis,
finisher?
Do you think he I think he retired a little bit early, but then it's not me to say, because as a fan, like you say, we're the best coaches in our heads. But I think Dennis still had quite a bit to give.
Me too. Because I was very much disappointed when he went to Gormaya and played for just a few matches, then he stopped. Because that time I wanted to do something that I always want to do something different, and I had already a lot of discussion with him through the Betway when he was an ambassador there, and we did the Betway talent selection together. And because that time he was also paid as an ambassador by the Betway, I had already talked to him and the Betway team that I want to have him in Mathare United, because I can't afford him, but Betway is already affording him. But I wanted to get him back to the game, because I knew I will get him back. But the issue was Mathare United, we cannot afford him. But Betway was chipping a lot in, so I said maybe if we have a deal, they can even pay him.
They pay his salary.
They can pay his salary, and I will do my extra effort and to see if I can get him to be the next player going back out there. Because I knew it was too early for him to be at home, but I knew I was the only person around that I can change that. And I'm up to date disappointed because I never got that second opportunity, because I believe that he would be another player today. If he had just given me 6 months, would have been enough.
Dennis, you denied us. It's our right. Victor Wanyama.
Exceptional, because I'm surprised when people make noise that he's not fast. Fast to do what? Because I like him and I've always worked with him, and he's not as quick player as an Olympian, which is okay. But if you look at, for me, my definition of a very quick player who is explosive is an example, and I want to give an example with Victor plus 2 other local players. My quick player is a player who can, who makes a quick decision. If you're a player who gives me a solution in a very tight situation, that is my best player, because he's quick. Because I need a quick player who can come out of a tight situation and that we don't lose the ball. And that is Victor. He's always in a very small space. He will not lose the ball and he will come out with a solution. So, but for the fans outside football, they will see that as being him as a slow player. But you see, when I see him, I see good decisions coming out of small situation, winning duels, which is very important for his position. Yeah. Good in balancing the pitch. Not a good coach on the pitch, but very good in balancing. So good insight. Every time at least he can balance. Good for his position. And more important, coming out of tight situation, getting quick solutions. Because there are a lot of quick players who cannot play in his position. Because of one thing, they will always make wrong decisions and give the ball away and in dangerous positions. So that is a different scenario when you look at it. Like, in some years, I coached a player. Then this Zomo was in Mathare United. Everybody thought he was the slowest player in the league, but he was the quickest player in making decisions in small spaces. So I used him a lot, and I think people came to understand that. Even some local coaches, that when I tried to explain that to him, they were surprised, and that is how he made his way up to Tusker FC. Tall looking, always not the best when it comes to sprint space, but when he has the ball in any small situation, good solution, and that's what we need. So Victor, special player in working in small spaces that if you compare with Dennis will always lose it, because Dennis needs space. But in a very small space, Victor will make a decision. In a small space, he will win the ball, he will win the duel, And he will have always a good balance to make sure he closes the lines. So that means he's clever. And you need those players with that combination, especially in his position.
Titus Mulama.
Quality player, and it's an exceptional talent. First of all, you compare him with other players. Not strong. It's always tiny player, but always easy to make decisions. One-touch player. And it's exceptional because to find a player who is very mobile, now work rate 200%. I think for players like Titus, it is just, I think the technology came in too late that he did not have an opportunity to work with the GPS. And see, I think he could have been covering the same distance, like
fast.
A distance like covered by the like Kolo Kante, always moving, and one-touch player, movement and one-touch player. No, zero contact, but he will always move. Very efficient player. It's a special player, especially when he was a left footer, who is only. I don't see very many at the moment playing that position who can move. So he was also a very special player. The direct, we call them the direct players because that's what we also lack at the moment. A direct player, Lawrence is doing it at the moment. Lawrence Juma is also a direct player. In any situation, he will always play forward. That's why I had a lot of support for him when I was in the national team because they are players they're special players. So if you try to look around the clubs now, look for Titus Mulama, you might really travel around before you get one. Yeah? Direct players, one-touch players, they cover a huge space on the pitch every time, a lot of movement. You don't see that. So if you compare him with Victor, the box-to-box player is Titus. He can always move throughout 90-plus minutes.
Alan Wanga?
Striker, when I see Alan, a specialist, especially any ball that a center ball. And center ball, the zone 14 player is always there. So any ball that is coming from across, you can always count that you get something from him. Because it's if you look at the analysis of a lot of goals scored, if you have good fullbacks or good wingers, then you always have an opportunity with Alan to score. Because any ball from the sides is good. He has the spirit, he's brave. And if you have a number 9 who is brave to attack any ball and to play and to fight every time 2 against 1, because the striker who is always playing very well at 2 against 1 with good balance, strong, he's very composed. Maybe a lot of fans thought he was not that skillful because I don't need the striker to be skillful. I only need him to be efficient. And he's an efficient player in front of the goal. Up to today, even when he's still not in his best, he still make a goal. And those are the specialists. When he's facing the goal, he knows what to do.
But now he's retired. I saw last year he retired from national team. Yep. A few weeks ago he says he's retired from club football.
I'm sure homeboys will miss him. And I think they will also persuade him to continue, even if it's another few months.
Alan, we are persuading you to continue.
Yeah, because we need, we lack those specialists at the moment, and those young players who have that courage and brave enough. And they are always in the game for 90 minutes. Alan is always in the game for 90 minutes, even sometimes when he's not in his best, because I've seen him in the league this season when he's not even in his best, but he's always dangerous because I know he's a specialist. And the specialist always is available, yeah? But homeboys will feel him.
They'll miss him. Jamal Mohammed, Malo. I know he was in your squad that 2008 when you reached 68.
Great player.
Yeah.
Great player, and a player that you need, especially playing under pressure. It's a player that you need, especially when you play against teams, the modern teams that like to be very compact, yeah, because he has no problem to go past one player. He has no problem to go past 2 players. Strong with the ball, clever in operating in a very small space, very special player. And we tried very much to push Kahata to see if he can be closer to Jamal, but sometimes qualities, sometimes just some simple details make the difference, yeah? Because he has a combination of both. Good dribbler, he's quicker and he's strong, and very good balance. Then if you compare it with Kahata, good dribbler, but it's not very strong. So very easy to get the ball from him as long as he tries to avoid the contact. But when you are there on time, he can never win the duel. But Malo, when he has the ball on the foot, it's very difficult to get that ball. He's strong, good balance, he's brave. So we are still struggling to replace him. I haven't seen a player closer to him at the moment.
Goalkeeping department, is that a department that Kenya has always sort of suffered in goalkeeping? Because I've seen over the last 10 years, either it's Boni, it's Matasi, it's like we don't have a keeper number one. Now I think it's, what's his name, Farouk. Is it called Farouk from Bandari? Former Bandari.
Caro, in 2014, I spoke about the state of the goalkeeping in Kenya, and that time I was in Tusker FC. And a lot of people misunderstood me because that time I was in Tusker and I had local goalkeepers. Gor Mahia had a foreign goalkeeper, and a lot of fans thought that I was attacking Gor Mahia because then that time it was Tusker and Gor Mahia. It was not about Mashemeji Derby anymore. It was Gor Mahia and Tusker because we were chasing the league together, and both teams were playing very well. But I said that one time I expressed my fear that I thought it was too early, that there were so many goalkeepers walking into the country and denying our own goalkeepers an opportunity to be the first choice. And yet they were not even a first choice themselves in their own country. So my concern was that we have to work very hard, even if we have to do some special courses to empower goalkeeper coaches to make sure that at least we don't lose, because Kenya will not win anything without a winning goalkeeper. And we give good opportunities to other goalkeepers who are not even in the list of the national teams in their own country. The goalkeeper comes, is only from a local club there, and now is a goalkeeper number one in Tusker, for example, or in Oazito. But the second and the third goalkeeper on the bench is a Kenyan who is maybe even better than that keeper. And I said that we have to pay a lot of attention. It is not that we don't want these goalkeepers. No, we also want foreign players who have something more to help our goalkeepers learn. And I think people thought that I was fighting one club, but today people are seeing it. And I said, I counted, that time we had Duncan, we had Boniface and Arnold. I said after these three, we'll have a crisis. And you will see a crisis because even the keepers that we had during the AFCON, Matasi, Farouk, Oyemba, still up to now, they're not top. They have gone silent because we thought that the progression will be top, because now Farouk has to compete with Bwire, he has to compete with Ian from the Wales. So we have to look at that. And keepers for a country like Kenya, if you look at the population of the players that we have, we should always have like 8 keepers, at least 4 to 5 keepers top.
Because just walk into the national team.
Yeah, we cannot win anything without a winning goalkeeper. And you see, because now we are going in a tough level where people and teams want to be in Qatar. So that means a goalkeeper will always be the most important player. For every team to compete in top level, you need a winning keeper. Do we have a winning keeper at the moment? So the other time when I was bringing Arnold back, it is not because I coached him before, but I needed somebody to show the other goalkeepers the level. In fact, I was not bringing him to be my first keeper. I think people didn't understand, but I had my own other mind with my backroom staff. But we needed to get a keeper who can show the other keepers the level.
The mentality,
the mindset.
Yes.
That is what I was looking for a goalkeeper who can be a model to show the young keepers that we have in the national team that this is the level. So at least when you talk about what they have to see it, because also if they are competing in the league with the same level of goalkeepers, they both have one good kick. Give me an example of a keeper who can play today, build up from the 6, like we are seeing, which is now the modern demand of a goalkeeper. Starting just from the number from the 6 here, the tap, one touch and out. That example here you will see. Try your keeper, you get the ball in the net. But that is now the demand. It's the next level, that they have to play a lot with their feet and they have to play in a small space. A build up from the back, and they have to come out comfortably, relaxed and composed.
There's a time we also had a problem in striking, and we kept saying that, like, in the KPL, you're a top scorer with like 13 goals. Those days of, was it Wanga who got to 22 once? or go on, somebody gets 13, 14, 15 goals, he's top scorer. And even then, the strikers we're getting that were performing in recent years are the Medikageres, the Tuisenges, the Serunkumas. They're not Kenyans.
You see, for the striking part you can always influence. Because that time I think we made a lot of discussion and we also made our own analysis. But that was not the cause was not that we didn't have, because you can never have a born striker. But you can build a player in between with some qualities. But the challenge that we had that time is that our own teams, every team wants to play a defensive role. Stay at the back. Do you give a striker an opportunity to play? No, you give us the striker an opportunity only to defend.
So that was a coaching issue then?
So it was a lot of coaching issues in that time, because we discussed about it, because a lot of teams, and I can mention teams that had even 2, 3, 4 strikers that were always on the bench, because they are very defensive. And the players and the strikers are made to play in almost from the midline. So if you look if I'm a striker, if I'm a striker and I'm playing from midline every time, when will I ever score? So, but strikers, we also sometimes, it is also a way to attack, but you have to make sure that at least you give your striker an opportunity to be close to the goal. So also that time, I remember the playing style was, I think, coaches were playing more for the results than also for the development of the players. So you don't care. Sometimes they play even without a striker because they prefer 5 defenders and just be in between there. So if I'm a striker and I've trained the whole week, and then after 25 minutes I'll be out for a stopper. Why do I need to train?
But then could this be what is making our game not exciting? Because we want to see goals. Fans want to see goals. And if everyone is playing defensive...
When you deny a lot of... Because if you have players, we also have to give them an opportunity to express themselves. Because football is an art. So let players also make some good movement. Let players give them some freedom when they have the ball. But they have the basics that when they lose the ball, they know where to be. But give players an opportunity to attack.
Now, we don't have much time left. We've actually gone more than an hour, and we've not even talked about youth football. We've not even talked about scouting. But I just want to touch on that, because I know at Wazito you have a youth system. But is there enough scouting? Because I feel there's so much talent all over the country that never gets to the eyes of people who can bring them into KPL clubs or NSL clubs or even into the national team.
Scouting is very difficult. It's very difficult because you have to do a scouting based on a certain playing philosophy of a club. What you get around in our country, every day I receive a call from sometimes known friends, unknown friends. They think that they have seen a very, very important player, could be important player. But if you ask him, what did you see? The only thing they tell you that boy is very fast. Then they want to bring that player because they think that boy is very fast. But football is not only for fast players. Football, we're talking about quick players who can come out from a small area. It's about solving football solutions that you need the right talent to solve it. So there are a lot of quality players out there that are not scouted, because if you go to watch a local match, what you always see first is that player who runs very fast. But it doesn't mean that player who runs very fast is a good football player. And that is what our scouts are looking for. A player who is really has a lot of athleticism. If you bring him to top level, there's no space for athleticism. It's about football and looking for football solutions in a very small area. That means that the mindset has to be the right mindset. The technical, tactical aspect has to be analyzed. So you have to scout, you have to scout with some guiding principles whereby what is in terms of the tactical demand, what do I need? Is he a young player who is able to play in a smaller space? Does he look intelligent even when to solve football problems, even when in a lot of challenges? The mindset, does he have the right mindset? Then we can now move that player. But we are always scouting the player who runs faster than any other player on the pitch. Sometimes it is wrong. It is wrong because top players are the most impressive players in the world. They are not that fast. They're only fast with the ball. They're only fast with the ball. And then Arjen Robben, He's not very fast without the ball. He's only fast and quick with the ball, looking for solution. Ribery, those were the players that when people see them, hey, he does exceptional. But he's only fast with the ball. Otherwise, they are very lazy without the ball. But they know how to look. But
when you have the ball, it's what you do with it.
Yeah, that is
the pass it. You don't have to be so fast.
That is the speed we want.
Yeah.
That's the speed that we are looking for. But what I've been receiving is getting players who are very fast and they always want the ball in front. But that is also, it's a quality, but you don't find a lot of that space in top level because defenders are clever. Midfielders are clever, they will close all those lines. So those players, they end up not even growing. So the scouting aspect has to be very balanced and well defined in a football context. What does a football player need in terms of quickness and a defined terms of break down the speed in football? The speed that we want is the speed to solve solutions. Otherwise, you don't bring a very quick player to me. I'm not trained, I don't want players for athletics. I only want players for football. And if they are quick to solve the problem, then he's a good player. But he's quick, he can't even control a ball in the air. It's difficult.
I think in the modern world, they're calling it having a football brain. Does he have a football brain?
Yeah, he has to. So the scouting part that we are receiving, that coaches out there or an individual out there who wants to be a scout, they have to look at a lot about what is happening. And the science of the game at the moment. Not only fast, but fast to solve football problems. Then you develop from there. And we can check the mindset depending on the level and the training is getting. We can check the other things slowly and see if we can develop to be the next player. Because if we go every time, because we have talented players, but the scouting model is leaving a lot of players out because we're only scouting speed, and speed is very general. But we have to break down until we make sure that at least we are contained in a football speed that is fair to give players an opportunity to compete.
If there was one thing, and I know it's not only one thing to improve the quality of our game, but if you were to pick the most important thing to improve the quality of our game, would you say it is coaching? Coaching and coaching our coaches.
I think if you want good football, you need good players. If you need good players, you need good coaches. If you need good coaches, you need good education for them. So you have to start from the top, thinking about if the game is not good. So where do we start? We have to start with good coach education, so that coach can produce a good football player.
Because the raw talented players are there.
The
young, great, raw talented players are there.
Of course, but then if we
go to the next level,
if we are limited as coaches with knowledge, then that will be a challenge. Caro happened to be in a UEFA symposium where top European coaches were complaining about UEFA not doing anything anymore for them in terms of coaching, and I was surprised, because if Gerard Ulie is there and is talking about knowledge, how about Kimanzi? How about me?
Then Kenya.
Then that time I was surprised that even coaches in that level, they were still pushing for more.
Wow.
Van Basten is pushing for more. He thinks that UEFA is not doing more for the coaches in terms of education.
When will we get there?
So how about me and the other coaches here? So we are trying to get more, something that is more tailor-made, structured for Kenyan coaches. The CAF courses will always come, but CAF courses will never make Kenyan coaches the best. But we have to do our own coaching courses here. Our style. Because then that gives us more time, it gives us more opportunity, because it can be something repeated every time, because the CAF courses, they are not only for Kenya, it is for Africa. That means slots must be, the slots must be shared. But when you have something on your own here, organized, tailored by the federation, it can be easier, because then the knowledge can always be shared. Always continuous process to make our coaches better. When the CAF courses come, no problem. We use them as a in fact, our coaches will always be top, because when those courses come, they will be ready for exams, for testing, for everything. They'll be ready, because these are all the top countries in the world. They have their own courses. They don't wait for UEFA.
So that's
we
need to take the initiative.
The Dutch courses, They are not for UEFA. They are for Dutch coaches. The Spanish Coaches Association, their courses, they are for Spanish coaches, not for UEFA. But then there's the huge umbrella that comes to test the coaches.
Can you develop a Kenya system, you, Francis Kimanzi?
I cannot develop it without the support of the federation here. You need the federation. They have a technical department.
Will you ever run for federation president?
No, I can never make that mistake. And that's a huge mistake.
I tell people the same thing and they don't understand me.
I can never.
But we clearly need something. I don't want to get into those politics. But I think, Kim, we can talk forever. Unfortunately, we've gone for 1 hour and 20 minutes in a 1 hour show. Yep. So I do need to wrap. But I just want to say thank you so much for your time.
Karibu. You're much welcome.
Hoping to get you on this show for quite a while.
Ndarudi tena.
Utarudi tena. Then we do part 2.
We do the part 2.
And by then, we will have put you back in charge of the national... Okay, let me not go there. Let me not give you enemies you don't need.
No.
But thanks so much for coming. Thanks so much. Guys, thank you so much. There's so many comments I didn't even get to read. I'll send you the link. Maybe you can go there and just... but you said you're not on social media.
Only on WhatsApp. I'm a post box.
Your kids will help you. They can go in and help you to reply some of these
They will be sick wakiona ile kitu baba yao anaambiwa kila time.
But Kim, thank you so much for coming. Guys, thank you so much for watching Radull Live. At least we're back in studio. We were doing Zoom for the last couple of weeks because of this. We have to be cautious
Asante.
Because of COVID. But thank you. We've kept our distance and hopefully we managed to stay safe. Stay safe and look after yourselves. But thank you so much for coming and thank you guys for watching. I hope you got the airtime. I put Safaricom airtime inside the comment section twice during the show. I hope you got it. If you didn't, you can get it next week. But thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Haya.